So why don't we try an exercise where we go quarters, eighths, sixteenths, 30 seconds. So each time we go through another bar, we're going to double the speed. So I'll show you what that's like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went forward and backwards that time. That's a really great exercise to try and get a handle on switching gears. And that's what the subdivisions are like. Like my bass drum's playing this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's always playing that. It doesn't matter what I'm doing with my hands. When I pick the different countings or subdivisions, it's like shifting gears. And it gives you more options. And that'll get explained a little bit more when you look at the notes and rests, because what you do is you take those countings, and rather than playing them all in a row, what you're going to do is you're going to put notes and rests in there, or you might do accents, or you might do something to shape another melody on top. But you have to have this fundamental command of, you know, these 6 different notes to actually make that happen. Well, not notes, but subdivisions. All right, so now we're going to double back, and we're going to do 8th note triplets, and we're going to do 16th note triplets. And I left these guys because these are not twice as fast as each other like the other ones were. What we have is we have 8th note triplets, and what they are is they're 3 notes per quarter note. You'll see your bass drums here of 1, 2, 3, 4 like we had, and the countings are still the same, 1, 2, 3, 4. But what's happening with the hands is we now have 3 notes per bass drum. So you can think of it like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. On a very basic level, just to get a handle on it. Another thing that you could do, if you get into accents a little bit, is just play singles, like your single stroke roll, and you're going to play louder on every third one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now what you're going to notice is because it's an odd number, unlike the rest of them, is the hand that gets accented, or the hand that lines up on the number, is different each time because it's an odd number. 1, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So that's going to be weird. That's one weird thing about the triplets, is that the hands don't wind up even, where like the number will always be with the right hand, or if you're doing 8th notes, the 8th notes. If you're doing 16th notes, the 8th notes will always be with the right hand. It switches because it's an odd number. Now the correct counting is 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So if you're to do it with the right counting, you'd be 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So let's see if I can. We got 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. It would be like that. And the 16th note triplets are the same idea, but they're twice as fast as the 8th note triplets. So there's now 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per quarter note. And this is another one that usually it's too fast to count when you're doing it. If you want, you can count it 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3 blah, 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 all the way to the end. 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet, which is a really good tongue twister. Or you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, this one is an even one, unlike the eighth note triplets, because there's 6 notes per quarter note. So if you're starting with your right hand, all the numbers will line up with the right hand. And the ands will too. So we got, if I were to counting like sixes, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got to practice that. If I were to count the correct, sort of technically the correct countings, 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet. Sorry, the ands are going to be the left hand, but it's always the left hand. So the numbers will always be the right hands with 16th note triplets, and the left hand will always be on the ands with 16th note triplets, lining up with the bass drum. And that'll be, you know, a little adventure you'll get into, which hand lines up with the bass drum or the number or whatever as you work through your subdivisions. As a general rule, with 16th notes, if you start with the right hand and you're doing singles, your right hand will always play the 8th notes, and your left hand will play the E's and Ahs. If you start with your left hand, it'll be the opposite. And with the 16th note triplets, the same kind of thing. The numbers will be the right hand, and the left hands will be the ands. And this will be something that you'll clue into once you get into harder stuff. But it helps you with playing evenly and not get jumbled up on the drum set. So let's try 8th note triplets to 16th note triplets, just to get used to switching between those two. So what I like to do is play 8th note triplets with my right hand and then fill in the spaces with my left to create 16th note triplets. So we get 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet. And that would be switching between those two. Now, once you have a handle on all of those, what you have to do is get serious command of switching the gears. And so you want to take something like quarter notes and 8th notes and switch back and forth. Or 8th notes and 8th note triplets and switch back and forth. That happens a lot. Or 8th notes and 16th notes. Like these 4, quarter notes, 8th notes, 8th note triplets, and 16th notes, happen the most. And then and then the 16th note triplets and the 32nd notes happen as well, but not as often. So a really good exercise to do is I'm going to go 1 bar of each. I'm going to go forwards and backwards. So I'm going to start with quarters, then 8th notes, then 8th note triplets, then 16th notes, then 16th note triplets, then 32nd notes, and then back. And you could think of it like per bass drum, or per quarter note, I'm going to do 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 6, and 8s, forward and backwards. All right, so check this out. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. think I missed a bass drum in there somewhere. But you get the idea. Going forward and backwards is really good. And then you want to switch between each one. So you want to, like, once you've got a command of all the different subdivisions, you want to go, okay, I'm going to go eighth notes to triplets and back. So I'm going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4, back and forth. Or say 16th note triplets and 8th notes. Or, you know, whichever ones that you want to do. It's tricky when you go from 8th notes to 8th note triplets and from 16th note to 8th note triplets, just because you got to sort of, they're not exactly half, right? And then the 16th note triplets are tricky as well. But what you want to do is you want to have total command over each one individually. And I'm just showing a bar of each for these, right? You want to like pick one and get really, really solid with it and make sure that you can do it no problem. Hang on, I'm going to grab a metronome. This will be good. All right, so I have here a Yamaha Click Station, which I don't think they actually make anymore for some reason, but this is an awesome metronome. And this metronome is great because it'll give you the quarter note pulse. They actually get some volume somewhere. Where's the volume? Oh, there we go. It gives you the quarter note pulse, and it's a cool little up and down wheel to change the tempo. I was picking something very slow. Maybe not that slow. Maybe like 60? No, that's too fast. How about 50? How about 45? So something like this, it doesn't need to be a fancy one like this, but if you've got your quarter notes and you practice your counting, so I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E, 4 E and 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a really good exercise too. If you can get a hold of a metronome and practice along with it. What if I can do? Is the accent there? No. All right. So 1, So as you can see, I need work as well. 45 is a really slow tempo, but when you're doing the 30 seconds, want to make sure you're picking a speed that isn't too fast for your hands. That's why we're going this slow. But metronomes are awesome, especially one like this. Like you can see, if I slide that up, now I get 8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and that kind of thing. If I want 16th notes, I slide this one up. 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and if I want 8th note triplets, triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, I get that. But if you don't have a metronome like this, you can just go for the straight quarters, but you got to do all the countings in your head, and that's the equivalent to what I was doing with the bass drum kind of thing. All right, well, hopefully that will help you. The goal is to work on all those different subdivisions by themselves, get them super solid. Then you want to like switch per bar, and you want to go practice switching between each one of them. And you have to do all of them. Especially quarters, eighths, 8th note triplets, and 16th notes. You want to be very fluid with switching from each one of them. Then once you get really good at that, you can, rather than doing the whole bar's worth, do it like half a bar's worth. So instead of doing 8 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, just do it for the first 2. Maybe I'll do a whole other video on that kind of thing. But for right now, you want to work on that. And don't be afraid to move it around the drums as well, like not just on the snare drum. You want to start there and get it really solid. But don't be afraid to like move all the different countings and subdivisions around the drums as well. So that will really help you. Or you can just do it with your feet. If you're crazy enough to oh, I'm really good with my hands, do the same thing with your feet. Or alternate between your hands and feet. That's really cool too. All right, so hopefully that helped. And we'll see you in the next video. All right. Go Leafs, go. Going to see them on Tuesday. All right, have a good one. Bye.